I did want to ask you about the time where you ended up spitting blood onto Donald Trump. There's no other way to say it.
How long ago was that? So that was Madison Square Gardens. I wasn't booked on that show. I was booked for the TVs, but they called Kane up, and they called me and said, Vince McMahon wants you in the Garden. And like, I'll be honest with you, I was a low-level guy, right? So, I didn't have a high spot on the card. But even a low-level guy will make $5,000 for Madison Square Garden back then. We didn't make the money they make now, but that still was a lot of money. That was just to go out there and get chokeslammed by Kane. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And it's the Garden. It's always kind of really magical and special to wrestle there. So it was really cool, so kind of hype, but didn't understand when I got there. Kane was there. I go, you were at it on too? He goes, yeah, we're in a special attraction match. It was just a match jammed in the house show. It was a house show. And neither one of us understood it, but we were both like, hey, we'll take it. It was not even a 3-minute match or something like that. Of course you want to wrestle and do things, but the whole brood couldn't beat Kane, so I knew it wasn't going to go very long for me in there. So you're pumped about the Garden, I had bigger chalices then, so I could get a lot more blood in them. And I go walking out, and the lights are going, because the Garden was always a big production. They had the red lights, so you can't really see through my sunglasses and stuff like that. Plus, sometimes they'll fog up. And I was walking in. I was just getting ready to go up the stairs. I see a guy, and I go, wow, he doesn't belong here. I didn't know it was Donald Trump. I was just like, this guy's got way too much money to be in this crowd. I could just tell he had money. He had suit, whatever he had on. Everything was like proper. Like, I could tell he just didn't belong there. And he had some blonde chick on his arm. And I was like, yeah, they definitely don't belong here. But whatever it is. But I didn't think anything of it. It was just randomly weird, It wasn't weird to look up in like the 3rd or 4th row and see Blondie, Deborah Harry, because she would come to a lot of the shows. That wasn't weird, but to see this dude there was weird. And I didn't know it was Trump, but it just stood out as strange. And so I go up the steps, and I hear the crowd really getting into it. I go, oh, wow, I'm over at the Garden, My ego is boosted. I'm thinking like, yeah. Well, little did I know what was going down. So I start to drink the blood, and they get even louder. They're like, oh, they're coming with the blood. And they do it to a degree, but they've never done it like this. I'm like, wow, what's going on, man? I love the Garden, So I drink every drop I can get. So apparently while I was drinking the blood in, people were trying to tell Donald Trump, they were touching him, telling him to move back. So instead of moving back, he pushed forward. They were like, oh, he's going to spray. So he went forward. He pushed forward. And that's what they were all like popping. Everybody was watching it but me. Everybody knew it was Donald Trump in there but me. So I drink that blood, and I hear the people, and I spit it harder than I ever spit it and sprayed it. I mean, I probably could have hit the last row from me. I mean, it was that much energy, and there was big chalices back then, and I had some lungs. And I sprayed it, and I heard him just, oh, the place erupted. I was like, oh, whoa, chokeslam, boom. I'm like, 1, 2, 3. But the people are still like, yeah, awesome, Gangrel walking back. I'm like, hell yeah, I am. I have no idea what they're talking about. Then why are they so pumped, But you take it, you go, hey, it's a good day at the office. Like, this is awesome. It's what you wrestle, your ego, it's fun, Wouldn't be there if you didn't have one, So coming back, then the like pyro guys and some of the state, that's awesome. They're high-fiving me. I'm like, what's awesome? Oh, you spit all over Donald Trump. I go, who? They say, oh, you soaked him. It was awesome. We had to go out and get her a shirt. I forget which girl it was. He was with at the time, but
Ivana, I think it was.
She had a whole white thing. So they had already scouted out when they come in. So they're like, wow, it was awesome, man. Got even with like the rich. They just looked at him as the rich. Even though I thought everybody at WWE was rich, because that's more money than I ever seen in my whole life. But boy, he's obviously richer, and whatever. So they were all like, a lot of people didn't like him even then. They were just like really happy about it. And then I started thinking, oh, I spit on Donald Trump. What does that mean? That's Vince's friend. And I'm thinking, this isn't good, They're like, so I'm not like trying to high five. I'm going like, what just happened, like trying to digest it down. And I go, well, it was that guy, obviously, but how did this all happen? And then Stephanie says, oh, my dad's not happy. You spit all over his friend. He has him ringside, and you sprayed the blood all over him. I'm like, what the sitting there? You know anything about the blood? I spray it every night there or wherever. That's routine. And I just didn't even know what to say. I was just thinking, oh crap, man, there's another time. So many times I thought I was getting fired and I didn't, but I was thinking like, well, and then, but he wants to see you, but he wants to see you at TV. So Monday came at TV, and I was waiting and waiting, trying to catch his attention, but he wouldn't look, and then she'd come up and, you can't see it today. It'd have to be tomorrow, Tuesday's TV. You're like, oh. One more night and no sleep, what was this guy standing there? Was he like, plus I was also thinking, how much power or juice does Donald Trump have? Am I going to end up in like the marshes around New Jersey or something? Am I just going to disappear? Like, you know what I mean? All these crazy random thoughts were going because like, and it certainly wasn't intentional. I like to claim it and say I knew he was there and spit it, but I didn't. It was just another perfect storm of good so, like, finally, like, oh, he has time for you, Vince, like, I'm like, oh, here we go. So I walk in there ready. I didn't do anything clownish, like put my feet up on the desk or anything like that. He was sitting in there when I went in there. And I go, I'm sorry. He goes, and he just started laughing, Vince. He just started laughing. He goes, that was great. So apparently, Trump wanted to go, so he knew that. He knew that I would spray the blood like a mindless zombie, like that I was, that I would just go out there and do that. He planned that whole thing. That's why he added us on the show, sat him there, and knew that I would go out there and spray the blood. But then he realized how I bit into it, and it was a double rib, so it was a rib on me too. So he got both of us. He just had the time of life. But that's how, they did a magazine thing, and I said, duck, Donald, duck, but that didn't even show it. He got covered in that blood. It was a lot more than that.
I think I speak for everyone in Glasgow to say thank you for doing that to Donald Trump. We appreciate it very much. So then in 2000, you did the Hardy Boys thing. That doesn't work out. And then you briefly are with Luna on TV. You guys are together for like a couple of weeks, and then you're gone. What happened at the end of that run?
She was gone or I was gone.
Both of you. Well, I think she was gone
No, I was
first.
still there. She got fired.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what?
I just wasn't on TV as much.
Because it felt like they just kind of fizzled you out. Like it felt like they didn't really do much with you.
Well, I did have some injuries, like a collarbone, and then I broke my neck. Like eventually, I broke my neck against Regal, and I'm not sure like a heat or a shotgun, or I did a Northern Lights, broke my neck. But with Luna, she got in trouble again. Like she was playing around with one of the production girls, and she was managing me, but the girl was spitting spitballs in Luna's hair, so Luna thought it was funny to grab her, tie her up into a rolling chair, duct tape her all into it, and just roll her through the corridor tied up. So this girl was apparently seeing Kevin Dunn, and then Kevin Dunn was apparently very upset in a meeting that his girlfriend, or not girlfriend, or whatever, production girl, was taped to a chair and rolled through the hallways. So they Vince lost his mind and said, I never want to see Luna here in this company again. And she got fired, and I didn't even know what to do because they called me as I was coming out to go to TV and said, please tell Luna to stay home. I'm like, why? We're going to be letting her go. You could tell her if you want. And I'm like, oh, no, that's your job. Like, I'll be at TV. Get out of here. So I left. I said, Luna, they said stay home. Why? I'm like, I don't know. But it really, well, I gotta backtrack it. So she did that, but really knew she was gonna get fired. Was it? Which one did they do the bikini thing? It was right
Royal
before
Rumble
this.
2000.
Right. So she disappeared shortly after that. Right. So what ultimately happened is they were doing this lingerie battle royal or bikini contest or something.
Yeah, the Miss Rumble swimsuit thing.
I don't know. I remember sitting there. I was with Chris Jericho's dad. We were both sitting there, and Vince was in the ring putting this all together. Vince McMahon, and they asked Luna to take her top off. They wanted her to take her top off like some of the other girls are doing. And she goes, what? You spent all these years making me ugly and you want me to take my tits out for the world? She goes, no, I'm not going to do it. And I wouldn't have wanted her to do it. I would have told her not to do it. But that was her up in the ring, and she told Vince that in front of the other girls. And I looked at Jericho's dad, and I go, she's gone. And they didn't right away. Some time went by, but then when she slid the girl down the hallway taped to the chair, but it really, I know it came back to that original thing there. So that was very sad. You go to stand your ground, like, hey, I don't want to take my tits out for the world, They will never admit that. They said it was a disciplinary thing because they weighed it and then they found something silly because in all actuality, the girl in the chair was never upset or mad or anything. They were playing because she was spitting spitballs in her hair. They were just goofing off with each other, you know. And she wasn't upset, but ultimately it was just an excuse to get rid of her for that thing. Because you can't talk. You don't talk to the king and tell him what's up in front of the whole country without paying the price, you know.
And how did you end up getting let go then from WWF?
How did I get let go?
How did they end up letting you go?
I broke my neck. So I was working William Regal on one of either a heat or probably a heat or it was a heat, I think. I did a Northern Light suplex and my neck, it just sounded like fireworks going off in my head. I was like, bah, 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 my leg. It's on TV, so it's still out there. If you Google it, you'll see it. I do a Northern Lights, my leg goes straight. And I go, oh, that really hurt. And I struggled getting through that match. And at that time, I was traveling with Benoit and Guerrero. But it was, I went home and I went to go see a doctor, but he was a doctor. Like, he had a little spot in a strip mall in the corner, and I go, oh, doc. He goes, oh, you want the usual? I go, no, I'm actually hurt, I think. You know? But he goes, I couldn't swallow anymore. I couldn't turn my head or anything, and I knew I had to leave in a day back on the road, and I was like, oh, this is really bad. And I was asking him to look at my neck, and he's like, oh, he goes, I'll write you here, 90 this, 90 that, 90 that. I go, thanks, doc. What about this? And he leaned into me and goes, David, I think you need to see a real doctor. I was like, he's not? That was my first thing. Like, all right, Luna, what have you got me into? Because she made me go up there all the time because she would take the stuff. So I was like, oh, okay. So I knew something but he never looked at it. He just said that. And so I went on the road and I was working midi and I was supposed to win it those couple nights in a row. And I told him, I said, hey, if I don't kick out, don't freak out. Just take the win. He goes, what do you mean? I go, man, I'm telling you, there's something really bad. I've not felt this before. It's a new pain. And I broke my neck when I was 13, but I was so young. But this was different, and I was like, I said, I can't even swallow anymore. I can't turn my head. My head's pounding. So I got through those 2 matches with him, and then I remember being in a hotel room, and I called up Eddie Guerrero, and I said, Eddie, I said, my nose is bleeding. Like, I can't. He goes, amigo, just sleeping, sit up, sleeping. He says, what drugs are you taking? I said, I'm not taking anything. I can't even swallow. I go, I hurt my neck at TV. He goes, oh, just make it to TV. You know, he was like a warrior. Just make it to TV so they can see you. Because he didn't want you to think like you went out and did something or whatever. He says, you got to show up to TV. I said, well, I am. I was traveling with Jericho that day because they split us up. So I show up at TV immediately. They're like, there was a doctor there, and they go, oh, you got to go. You got to go. Like, you want an ambulance? I go, no, I'll get myself there. I've been on the road all week. I just flew home in a plane. I flew back to Florida. This was in Indianapolis. I said, oh, I'm not going to go to the hospital there. If I made it a week here, I could catch another flight home and get home and go to one there. So, and I went, and it turns out that my neck was broken, and they wanted to go in and fuse it, but I would have had to have retired. But that wasn't the actual problem. They said breaking my neck was like a miracle because, they do the CAT scans on you because they ask how you break your neck. Of course, so they scan your brain, and they found a hot spot on my brain, and they said that it looked like I had what they were calling like a reoccurring concussions. So they said that they don't know how long that's been there to be that big of a spot. So breaking my neck pretty much saved me from becoming like just a vegetable, like, because I had so much brain damage and stuff. So the neck was cleared in like 8 months, but it was over a year, like, before they decided that I could pass every test. And they said, it's your life. Go do what you want. We recommend you never wrestle another day in your life, but if that's what you want to do. And that's what I did. So I went back. I sat home for a while waiting for WWE to call me because the release papers came in. Then they came to they came to Tampa where I was living. So I showed up, and they said, what are you doing here? I go, I just want to let you know I'm ready to work. They go, you still work here? I was like, what? Really, they were shocked. Like, I can't remember who it was. It was one of the agents. They thought I wasn't there anymore. I guess it just gotten, in that year, they've maybe forgotten so much was going on. And I was like, my feelings are really hurt. And they said, we don't, you can go home. Like, I was like, okay. So the time I drove home from there, which was an hour drive, I must have had 10 messages from Adam Edge. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. They made me do it. If I didn't do it, they were going to put it on somebody else. I go, what's he talking about? I'm like, And then, so, you know, I taped things back then. So then I turned around and watched the tape, and he was doing the DDT, you know. But they said they were going to put it on somebody else if he didn't do it. He said they wanted, I think they were just trying to prove a point. You know, they do silly things like that. Who knows? But I was like, man, I'm glad you did it, you know. But you're not kind of almost did like Jake did to him. It's still the like, but like, I would try to tell him how to do it, but he wouldn't change it, like, because there's a trick to it, like, that makes it look a little different. But it's just a matter of where you put the arm. The guy puts his arm. If he puts his arm around your waist, you know, you got to lift him. It can only stop so much. If you keep his arm out in front of him here, you could kick your hips up and make it like a lot more powerful looking of an impact and stuff like that. It's just a little thing, but yeah, he's such a nice guy. He's probably the nicest guy I know and sincerest guy. Yeah, he was like in tears when he was telling me. Edge is just a tremendous human being. Yeah.